Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another OCC podcast. I am your host, David Jansen, and today joining us all the way from Australia is another podcast host, event holder in arm wrestling, Hollywood Matt Connelly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, mate. I've got to do the double biceps. It's in the contract. Has to be done every time I appear on camera. It's a legal requirement. Just keeping the lawyers happy.
That is amazing. I always see every time I watch the AWE podcast or the Arm Wrestling Tonight podcast that you are doing that, so you must try to fit them into the camera today as well, as they barely fit in there, but it is awesome to see.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, that's what I was saying just before. Had food poisoning last night and just woke up not long ago, so I'm still not exactly sure if I'm alright or not, but I think I'll be okay.
Well, we will run with the punches. We are totally fine with however it goes tonight. I am just extremely thankful that you joined and you came on. How is the arm wrestling in Australia? I know arm wrestling world has kind of been up and down all over the place, but I know in the midst of it all, just after a lot of that seemed to happen, you guys released some incredible matches.
Absolutely, yeah. We were the good thing about being so isolated in Australia or so far away from the rest of the world is that a lot of what happens overseas doesn't really affect us at all. And so when we're seeing East West of us falling apart, it's like but we don't really care because it's like we're focused on what we're doing. It doesn't affect us. It's like we're putting our event on. That's where all our time and effort and thoughts are focused on. Uh, and as to what happens outside of that with arm wrestling is out of our control regardless. So we don't put too much time or effort into concerns that we can't control. So yeah, we had an amazing event, the Champions Series, the AWE Champions Series, and we put on two matches. We were lucky enough to partner with Diamondback Fighting Championship, which is an MMA organization here in Adelaide, and Craig Ike and Greg Hearn are the owners of that, and they are very supportive of combat sports overall. So they don't just do MMA, that is their primary focus, but they also slot in the opportunity for other combat sports to be given a spotlight as well. So on the most recent card, which is where we had our arm wrestling matches, uh, they have I think they had four MMA fights, and then they had an intermission. And we were able to use the intermission as our time to put on our matches. So we put one match on for the first intermission and then the second intermission a couple of hours later, which worked out because Brett Coots was in both matches. So he did get a bit of a rest between. He didn't have to go straight one after the other. So that worked out very well. But yes, they do like to give the spotlight to other combat sports. So they've helped us with arm wrestling. On that same card, there was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match. There was cage Muay Thai, as well as the MMA. So they do really try to get as many eyeballs on each person's sport as they can, which is just a tremendous thing and very supportive.
That,
Yeah, for sure. So like those guys who were doing jiu-jitsu would never have had that big of a crowd watching them, like a thousand sold out people in the room that were there to see the event, but they got to showcase their skills in front of 1,000 people. Same with us with arm wrestling. So it worked out tremendously to be able to give Brett Coots, Mata Warangi, Heta Morris, Lachlan Adair, these big fighter intros, and they come in the same as the fighters did from the corner, and they had their cornerman with them, and it looked like they were walking in to have a UFC fight. But it was great because it was arm wrestling, and so but the crowd was really into it, which was awesome to see.
and that is super amazing. You were obviously there, and so maybe you can give us all a little bit of a clue why Brett is so special. Because recently, a week before that, or I don't know exactly when those matches exactly happened, but a week before you released them, East versus West happened, and we seen Alex Kurdecha first go left-handed against Devin Larrett, and then later on, a couple hours later, go right-handed against Artem Morzov. And what we seen there was a battle with Devin and Alex, and then in the second match, he didn't even seem to be in the match because you could just see his nervous system and everything was so shot already from the initial match. But then when I watched Brett Coots fighting first with a hard fought battle with Lachlan Adair, and then coming back maybe an hour or two later, and then having a match with the Beast Heta Morris, which he literally is a beast. He looked like bigger than I've ever seen him, and an incredible war, losing around and then coming back, changing it up slightly, and winning. How can he do that? That his nervous
Uh,
system isn't shot. Maybe you know him as a friend better as well and stuff.
yeah, well, Brett Coots has got tremendous endurance, and his cardio is really up there. I mean, he looks like a Mr. Olympia competitor for a reason. He's in the gym almost every single day of the year, and he also works full time in construction. So he's he's a very active person, and so I think that was one of the keys that he was able to get into a very good match with Lachlan. And you would think most people would have just that would have been their night, but he still was just as fresh. And when he walked back into the cage 2 hours later to face Mato Orengi Heather Morris, it looked like he hadn't had a match at all. Like he looked like he was ready to go, completely 100% fresh. And even throughout the match, after that first round with Mato Orengi was pouring out with sweat. He was dripping, and Brett was still very dry, very comfortable. You could see Heather Morris was breathing heavy, and that was after one round. And so they had 5 in total, and it just got sort of more and more dominant for Brett as he went. And I think that the cardio factor was huge. But I would say that is more than likely the reason he's just always active. He trains constantly, and he was very focused and determined to win these matches.
Yeah, that is incredible. It was both matches seemed to be an incredible hard fought battle, but seeing Brett come out on top of both of those and now obtaining 3 belts, I believe he is number 1 overall ranked left-handed in Australia, right? And then he has come out 2 times, second to Rickard Borman, which on that note, jumping into Rickard, he just came off of an amazing win from East vs. West 18. And that was an incredible test. It went both ways. He lost 1 round, he won 3. He had to change up techniques, went for the press, lost 1 round in a hook, and then went for a top roll, was able to battle it out. And then now going up against Pablo de Verdeño. How do you see that match going? Because for me, I think Rickard has been amazing. He has been he made an initial huge jump for me when I first seen him come out and beat Matteo Rengi on one of those initial matches. I think it was in a garage you had in an underground or something. And then,
Yep.
so that was huge for me. And then seeing him beat Brett Coots a couple times, I thought that was incredible. Seeing him beat Don Underwood, now seeing him beat Wallace Stilley, like these are all small. Like initially, it looked like to me a big step beating Matteo Rengi, and now they've been like incrementally harder and harder. But now Pablo, to me, seems like another whole leap above that. How do you think a match like that is?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, huge test for Rickard Borman. Pavlo Devineniev has been around for, forever, and he's been at the elite level forever. He's very well seasoned, super experienced, incredibly strong. He knows he's done it all. He's seen it all. So for Rickard Borman, up and coming I think he's 21, 22 years old. He's only been in the sport for a couple of years, and he is being matched up with somebody who is an absolute veteran. So we'll see how it plays out. I think this is a very good testing and proving ground for Rickard to see if you could beat Pablo, then you belong at that elite level, because Pablo is that good. It's a huge test for him, but he has faith in himself, and he believes that he can win. And I think he is looking to head towards that world championship level. So this is the perfect opportunity to showcase your skill set against somebody who is so experienced and such an absolutely strong guy in Pablo.
Yeah, and I fully agree with that. I think it's an amazing if he can pull off the win, which I really hope he will, because just watching him up and coming through so many matches that you guys have given him the opportunity with AWE. And on that note, you guys had this recent event. Are you guys hoping to put on more events in the near future and stuff? I really like what I have seen with AWE because seeing other cards and other promotions, many times what I watch amazing events, the promotion is awesome. A lot of the athletes are top notch. One thing I really like from you guys is you put on amazing events. The quality and everything is really high, I believe, but you give the refs the authority. There is no going back, giving blame to the refs. I haven't heard it once from the athletes. I haven't heard it once from any of you guys, the promoters, Ryan, Matt, yourself, and Dave Stockbridge. And when I watch it and I see the ref call a foul or whatever it be, a stop pin, I don't see no one running to the corner being like, that has to be reviewed. It must be this way. I don't see any of you promoters jumping in and trying to overstep the refs. How have you guys gotten to that place?
I think we've looked at what the other organizations were doing because obviously we're fans of arm wrestling first and foremost, and so you're going to be watching promotions and events. And I remember when Dave and I were doing the Daily Combat podcast a couple of years ago when we first started doing shows, and we were talking and reviewing events, and we talked a lot about production and things we thought could have been done better. One specific moment was when Michael Todd was he faced Devon. I think this is WAL, and he wasn't happy with the call, and there was no review system in place at all. And he was yelling, and he was yelling at anybody who would listen. He was yelling at his opponent, the referees, the production people. He was yelling at Neil Pickup. He was yelling at the audience. It was like, but there was no one that could help him because there was no decision that could be made. There was no review that could take place. So, we looked at that and said, well, that's an issue. We don't want that to happen if we want to put events together. So what do we do to fix that? Well, let's have a review system in place. So we were able to work with the production crew, and they said, yeah, we've got a replay facility which it just records the last 30 seconds at all times. So whenever we want to play a replay, we just find that and then put that on the screen instead. So it was very simple, and giving the athletes that option. It's like, hey, if you don't agree with the call, no matter what the call was, whether you think that he started carved or started early or that there was an elbow foul when there, that wasn't called or whatever, if you think that happened, just say, hey, I want that reviewed. We'll have it on the screen in 10 seconds and we can see it. So that way they immediately have a recourse. If they're not happy with the call, it's like, I want it reviewed. No worries, we'll review it. Here it is. Let's have a look. And they get an instant answer and they're able to settle down without having to, yell and complain and scream at everybody that's in the room to try to get some resolution. So that was one of the examples. But we basically looked at the other promotions around the world. What are they doing? What can they do better? And we've seen some, I guess, instances with especially in most recent times, where the promoter's really getting involved in the match, and it just shouldn't be happening at all. It shouldn't be happening at all. It's the referees are in control. The athletes and the referees are there. The camera people are there. The audience is there. Either you're the commentator, you're the promoter, or whatever. Your role at that point is to watch the match take place. And the only time when you may have to be called in is if there was a review and you're the overseeing umpire or referee. But if people are not happy, they have their avenues, they have their resources that they can use to follow, as opposed to let me just go talk to the promoter or yell at the promoter, or now the promoter's on stage and he's arguing with the referee and he's telling him what they should do. It's like that's not professional at all. It's completely incorrect. It's like you shouldn't be on there. You should have put these things in place so that you never needed to be involved at that point. You could not be in the room and it would still take place properly. So yeah, I think just finding what mistakes other organizations were making, or things that we think we could do better, and then implementing those changes.
Yeah, and I think so far you guys have done very well with that, and giving the refs the final call and stuff at the end. That is amazing, and just and it's not even giving them so much extreme power. It's just trusting them. It seems like there's trust when I watch your matches. It seems like there's trust behind it, and I really enjoy that whole air, and that how it seems like the athletes trust the refs, you guys trust the refs, and at the end of the day, watching it to me is so much smoother than when I hear all that, like you were saying, different athletes yelling at the refs, It's because people feel that they can do that when they already know there's untrust from the organizer or someone.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like you can push a fine line if you already know other people aren't trusting them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think and this is something Dave Stockbridge has brought up before. He's like, there's no other sport in the world where the athletes can behave that horribly to the officials and get away with it. And I've seen it time and time again when somebody's getting set up, they're not happy with the setup, they're abusing the referee, like just yelling at them. And it's like, this isn't right. We don't like that at all. I think that's one of the worst aspects of the sport.
In different sports, people get disqualified, the athletes. Literally can get, like, depending on what sports, it's straight up they can get disqualified and stuff. And
no, yeah, absolutely. But that's one of those things and we're not happy with that. And we said it's written into our rule set, and it's like, any display of unsportsmanlike behavior will be disqualification. And we've had a disqualification, but no one really knew that that's what happened. But it was in the first event we had Lockwood Carpenter he swore at Tim Graham, the referee, and that was the end of the match. He told him, I don't know, he said something nasty to him, and Tim looked at him and then said, foul, match is over, and that was it. It was done. And so I think that set a precedent as well for athletes to go, oh, we can't behave that way. And you can't be like, our referees are officials, even in local events and stuff like that, where they're not being paid, they're volunteering their time and they're doing their best. They're probably a competitor as well, and they're just helping out. And somebody yelling and abusing them is awful. And I've had so many people that I've said, hey, can you referee that division for us? Can you help us out? Yeah, no worries. And then they'll come up after and be like, I am never doing that again. I'm like, why? What happened? Everyone was so horrible. And it's like, it's like, okay. So yeah, I think Tim Graham is a tremendous referee in terms of his ability to command authority. He does it in a way where it's very practical and very. He's like, okay, look, this is just what we need. We just need you to turn that carb out. There you go. Oh, no, just listen to what I'm saying. It's gentle, but it's in a way that gives respect for it. Plus, with AWE, we really didn't like how the elbow fouls and so many different things would stop a match halfway through. And it was so frustrating for us. It still is. When you're watching a match, they take 10 minutes to set up. They finally get going. And then, the match may be a back and forth crazy thing. And then the referees stop it. Oh, hang on. Somebody's elbow lift up this much, It's like, fuck, who cares, dude? Just leave it. Did he get an advantage from that? No. Then just let it happen. So yeah, that's one of the things that we were very keen on making sure that we put a product out that was entertaining as well as a fair rule set for the athletes to compete in. So we're trying to find that balance. Like, the athletes get a fair match, but the audience isn't falling asleep either.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And I think another promotion that really does that well is Propanja. And I know that a year ago or whatever, I don't know exactly the date it was, you were in India in order to commentate, and then it didn't end up happening because I believe Sven had an accident or something. And but now we see season two is coming out August 5th, and that is starting off August with a bang. August is going to have multiple great events. And what do you see coming out of this second season and stuff? As you were there, you spoke with many of the athletes, you spoke with the promoters, and you've seen a lot of arm wrestling in India. What do you see to come from Propanja now and in the future?
Yeah, well, they're the world leader in terms of viewers and popularity. I mean, you got 33 million people watching your show. It's that's more people than every single person in Australia. So, and that was 33 million TV sets that were tuned in. So it was probably a lot more people than actually 33 million that were watching that event. The guys who run the Propanja are fantastic people. They do a really good job, very professional. They work super hard to make sure that the quality is really up there. And I think one of the main reasons is because if you get a prime time television spot, which they really fought hard to get, and as most people know, cricket is huge in India. So on Sundays they would have this cricket match, and then they Propanja managed to negotiate getting themselves in at the end of the cricket match. So the cricket match would finish, then there's Propanja. And so, millions and millions of people tuned in to watch the cricket. And then when it finishes, they thankfully would stick around and, oh, what's this other thing? Arm wrestling. Okay, let's have a look at that. And so they were able to sort of use that audience that was already watching and then grab their attention. And here's a fantastic product of arm wrestling. You've probably never heard of it before or whatever, but it looks tremendous. They've got a great show, a huge stage, awesome production, lighting. The guys wearing awesome uniforms. They've got a team versus team theme going, and they're from different regions in India. So you've got that local area pride of support built into that as well. But the level of competitors in India is really quite high. We went around to a whole bunch of different clubs. So I've been to New Delhi and to Mumbai, and yeah, the level of pullers there is really up there. There was a lot of guys that were just absolutely flooring me in in training rooms and on the tables that we went to gyms and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, this guy would be top 10 in Australia right now. Like, so it's very exciting, and I think that their second season will showcase their upgraded skills from the first season.
And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I haven't watched any of it live or anything when it dropped, but I have seen clips here and there all over social media. And what I seen, I thought was an amazing product. And they really put it out in such a way that it seems almost like a television show that you can watch it, and it would attract viewers from other sports because some of the arm wrestling that we currently watch when it drops on our YouTube video, it's very direct for either the fan base that an arm wrestler already has or for a certain set of people that already kind of know what's going on. If you don't really know what's going on in that match, or why is it taking so long? Why is he yelling at so and so? Then you don't understand what's this arm wrestling. People know arm wrestling in a very different context, but in the way that they present it for Panja, it's really it catches you the way they have people in the background. It's like a team event, even though it's two guys arm wrestling and two refs up on the stage, but the team is surrounded and the team is cheering them on, and that's very very awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, it's a different format than what we're seeing throughout the rest of the world and with other organizations. You've got yes, it's a super match format, but it is team versus team, so you're getting 10 people versus 10 people as opposed to just one-on-one, which is obviously when you've got a team of people and they're going to support each other and train together and make sure that they strategize and get the best outcome that they possibly can for their team, they're going to be very supportive of each other and build a very close-knit group. And you can tell when a team is getting along, you can see it, and just the level of support and happiness that they've got with their teammate wins and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that is super exciting always to see when you can watch that. You not are only watching the competitors up on the table, but you're watching the teams go at each other, and the cheering on and the energy just makes you anticipate what is going on.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Yeah, sorry, you go.
No, you go. That's fine.
I can't remember what I was going to say. I thought I interrupted you halfway through your sentence.
Yeah, sorry. And I was just gonna say that we have Propan just starting off the beginning of the month so immensely like that, and then we have East versus West, the first time ever they are collabing, having a collaboration with Strongman, and that is at the Strongest Arm on Earth with Brian Shaw's event, Strongest Man on Earth. How do you think that's going to be? Because that's also a whole new set of eyes that's going to be there. There's booths and everything that they have set up. There's going to be an arm wrestling event Friday evening, and then the strongman show throughout the weekend. How do you think fans like that will take to the arm wrestling?
Well, hopefully that they'll enjoy it, but it is East versus West. Sorry. The only reason I say that is because they have such long setups, and I think it turns a lot of fans off, or a lot of potential people off. They might be excited about. They're like, "Oh yeah, let's go watch arm wrestling. This will be great," and then they're like, "What is going on? Why have they taken 10 minutes and they slip?" It's like, what do they mean? What do they slip? Who won? No, they get tied together. They have to go again. Oh, and you got a first to three, and it takes an hour. I think that it's going to be difficult to find new fans that are going to be there. If you have just the highlights, sure, it looks amazing. But if you've got the practicality of the actual match, it can be for somebody who's never watched it before, doesn't have an interest in it. If you say, "Hey, come watch this with me," after 10 minutes, they'd be like, "When's the arm wrestling gonna happen?"
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah, but I think it's always good to partner with other sports that are more established or have a bigger audience or are very in the same vein as what arm wrestling is. The combat sports, MMA, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and then strongman. We're seeing guys like Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw coming over from strongman to try arm wrestling as well. So it has been a lot of fun seeing that progression of athletes that are wanting to get involved in arm wrestling, especially if they've got an established audience already and they're coming in like Eddie Hall. I think, what has he got? Millions of subscribers or something on YouTube. So he has a built-in audience straight away, and people are going to be invested in watching just to see what Eddie Hall does. And so when he went against Brian Shaw, obviously the strongman community would be very interested in that. Like the people who are fans of strongman would be very, very excited to see that match, even if they don't know anything about arm wrestling. The great thing about arm wrestling is that it's very, very simple to understand. It's just you're trying to get his arm here, he's trying to get your arm there. That's it. And whoever gets it first is the winner. It couldn't be simpler. Obviously, we know there's incredible layers of complexity of technique and all the rest of it beneath that. But from the casual person's perspective, they can enjoy the sport without knowing all the intricate details. And I think it's the same when the UFC first came around, was that, there's all of these crazy techniques and things that people had never seen before, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, fighting on the ground. They're like, fighting on the ground. I'm like, what is this? Like, he's choking people. How did he do that? What's going on? I don't even know why the guy tapped out. It's like, well, his knee was about to snap in half. It's like, what are you talking about? And so, the audience being invested in, well, I understand that they're fighting and I know what fighting is, and I see that he's the winner. how did he win? Let me try to figure this out. And so there's not just surface level, it's a fight, or it's an arm wrestling match. There is so much rabbit hole of technique and different background stories between the opponents and strategies and all the rest of it, which is very, very appealing. And if you're able to present it in a way that a person who's never seen it before can watch and understand what happened and be excited by the result, then I think that's where we're always trying to aim for. Like I've showed people our matches and stuff all the time when we're talking, and we'll be like, hey, I'll just bring up YouTube and I'll skip to the thing. Here we go. Let's have a look at this. And maybe it's Brett Coots and Lachlan Adair. And you can immediately see they don't know either guy. They've never seen arm wrestling before, but they see it's in a cage with 1,000 people behind it. The production level quality is really high, and the match is good as well. And it goes quickly. There's no drawn out setups. There's no continuous restarts for fouls. So I think it makes it more entertaining, more watchable, more consumable, and more people will be interested in it for those reasons.
Yeah, and I fully agree with those thoughts and stuff because the faster we can get it over and done with, but not only faster, entertaining at the same time, so it captivates people's thoughts and mind. That as they're watching, they really enjoy, because not only do we want the match to go quickly, we want it to be captivating so that viewers want to come back and watch again.
Yeah, I don't think it's about like that we want the match to be quick, but we want the elements that are not interesting to be over quickly. Because if you have an absolute war between two guys, it's tremendous, it's amazing, but you don't want to be sitting through a very, very long setup and 5 restarts before you actually see the result.
Yeah.
So if you've got a well presented match with minimal setup and 1 minute break between rounds, it's people are going to stick around. They're going to watch that. Whereas if you've got 10-minute setups for slips and then 10 minutes for straps, and then they finally start, and then you get a elbow foul reset, and then another elbow foul reset, and then the other guy elbow fouls, and then the other guy. It's like, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I think people would have turned off by that point. They're like, why do they keep restarting it over and over? It's just like, when are they going to get the result? And then it's like somebody fouls out, and it's like, well, they didn't even get to see the match. It's just awful. So yeah, those elements are what we've really tried hard to mitigate and eliminate.
Yeah, very, very much agree with that. For those that don't know Hollywood Matt Connelly, how did he become the arm wrestler? What did you do before arm wrestling, and what constantly captivates you in arm wrestling?
Yeah, so I was basically bodybuilding for 20 something years before I found arm wrestling. I think I was 18 years actually, because I'm 24 years into training now. But yeah, so 18 years in, and I had dabbled with a couple of other things outside of bodybuilding because when you're training in the gym all the time, it's a lot of fun, and you get results and all the rest of it. But there's never that combative environment. There's never that challenge in terms of it's you versus the weight every time, and it's like the weight is not an interesting character. It's just a heavy thing, so you've just got to lift it or you don't lift it, and that's the game. Whereas when you're in a sport where you've got to physically overpower somebody, and they're trying to do the same to you, and they're using all of their strength and technique and knowledge and skill, and you're doing the same, it's so much more valuable and rewarding if you get a victory. And then even if you do get beaten, it's like, what did I do wrong? How can I learn from that and get better so it doesn't happen again? So those aspects really were interesting and attractive to me. And it was sort of like I had to make this decision when I started getting into the sport. I was like, do I like this enough that I'm willing to put up with the pain of not being able to train forearms and back and biceps for 5 days after a training session? And I thought, well, I think it is. I think this is worth it to me. And I kept going each week and, getting better and enjoying the sport and the people that were in the sport. And I still think this is true around the world. It's amazing people, really friendly, very supportive. And especially here in Adelaide, when I first started, it was the club was on Tim Graham's driveway at his house. And it was three or four people, and that was it. And so it took a long time to build up from that to where we are now, where we're getting 30, 40 people coming on each week and new people coming in all the time. And we've got 12 tables and we put on matches and all that sort of thing. And so it took a long time to build to that point. But I think the enjoyment of the sport for me is what, like, I absolutely love doing it. I love every Sunday getting on the table for 3 hours with people, and my hands are trembling afterwards, or like this, because we've been going so hard. But the group is full of such supportive and wonderful people. We finished our training session every week. We go out for dinner afterwards, and then after dinner we go to an ice cream place, and then we play card games. And we do that till like midnight, and that's every week. And so it's not just the arm wrestling side of it, but there's a whole group of, it's like hanging out with your friends, like 30 friends at once every Sunday. And even at the restaurant, we're still on the table, like getting weird looks from the waiters. Although we did actually arm wrestle the waiters a couple of times at a few places. Yeah, it's just that fun element of like people seeing what it is. You don't need any equipment. You've got your arm. You don't even need a table. You can just grab hold of someone's shoulder and away you go. So when people see that, they're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" It's like, "Oh, it's arm wrestling or whatever." And then maybe you get people to come along just from that. So that element works really well. But yeah, in terms of my experience getting into the sport, my first person I arm wrestled was Devin Larratt. Of all people to start with. I thought I'd start at the top. He did a seminar here in Adelaide. He was coming through Australia. This is 6 years ago. And I saw it come up on Facebook, and I thought, I'd been watching arm wrestling. It had just popped up on my feed, and I was a fan of Devin. I was like, I've got to go along to that. And yeah, met the people at the club, and they said, come out. And, finally I went and did, and the rest is history. So yeah, but I think one of the things that really is quite important is that supportive environment. And I think one of the reasons when somebody does show up for the first time and they've never done arm wrestling before, that they may have seen it, they may have just heard about it, or they've seen a little bit of the stuff on YouTube from what we've put out, and they come in, but they get treated very much like, we want you to stay, we want you to have a good time. And because we want people to arm wrestle again. And so if someone shows interest, it's like, we're going to be very, very supportive to that person to make sure that hopefully they enjoy themselves and then want to come back again, which is sort of a theme that I've felt with most places around the world. Everyone is very, very supportive and wanting to show you how to get stronger and how to improve.
Yeah, no, every single club tournament I've ever been to, I always feel the same way. It's always very supportive, and that sounds like an awesome idea to go to a restaurant every time after, or to an ice cream shop and have a long night of playing cards or drinking beer, whatever that sounds like. It would be a great time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
And
we
then,
play. Oh, sorry, I was going to say we have some crazy card games that get very aggressive. I've had to laminate cards and everything.
that's awesome. So what card games are you playing then?
Well, I have a big box of games, and there's all sorts of different card games in there. But sometimes there'll be board games we'll play. Even Pictionary. We've played Pictionary before, and I'm a terrible drawer. People are like, what is that? Like, how is that a kite? It's like, it's obviously it's got a ribbon and everything. Yeah. So, but no, it's great. We have a good time. But one thing that frustrates me is that the games I want to play that I'm good at, they don't want to play them.
That's normally how it is. People don't want to play what you're good at.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you've ever played Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, but that's one of my favorites. It's like Snap. You've got to snap the card really fast, But yeah, it's fun, it's silly, and no one will play that with me because I win.
Well, that sounds like that's the exact reason right there. And then what brought Matt from being first initially the bodybuilder to now obviously still working out in the gym a lot and arm wrestling to wanting to be a promoter?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, when Dave and I started doing the podcast together, it would just we'd have these long conversations about arm wrestling, and especially when we were being critical of other promotions and what ideas and strategies and things that we think they could do better. I think that really kicked off the idea of, maybe we could have a go at this. And the moment that really solidified it for us was Ryan Bowen calling out Chance Shaw and saying that he wanted to have a rematch with Chance and that he would willing to pay Chance's flights to come out to Australia for this match. And Dave said, what if we contacted Ryan and said, if we put an event together, will you have the match here in Adelaide versus Chance Shaw? And Ryan said, yeah, well, that sounds like a good idea to me. That would be awesome. And we started working together back and forth to plan this event. And then it was like, well, if rather than just having one match, why don't we put a couple of matches on? And we started contacting other people and we started putting a card together. And it was like, well, if we're going to run this thing, we should probably actually name it and have, maybe we should start an organization, start a promotion, rather than it just being like a one-off thing that Ryan's doing. And then you've got this awesome card together, but it's like a very loosely structured thing. Whereas promotion, it's like it's under the banner of that promotion. So we created the AWE, and Ryan and Dave and myself, the directors of that, and we were able to put that on. Again, partnering with Diamondback Fighting Championship for AWE1, we were able to use the Octagon. We put the event on. We had a lot of the top guys in Australia competing on the card. Mato Oringi, Heather Morris, ended up facing Ryan Bowen instead because Chance got injured. But it was that element is how we kick things off as a promotion. It went well. We really enjoyed running the event and think it looked good, and we did commentary work and all the production side of it, and the athletes were happy with how it went. I was like, let's do another one. And so we continued with the promotion. We've had to make adjustments and changes depending on situations where athletes are now suddenly signed to exclusive contracts and they can't compete with us, which made Todd Hutchings not being able to defend his belt that he won with us. But there was a few instances there where it's like, okay, if we can't get access to the top talent, we still want to put matches together. We still want to keep this promotion going. We're really enjoying it. And so that's where you see the underground series and stuff like that we did, where it wasn't the big pay-per-view event. It was in Marcus Aturai's shed. We tried to get that feel of being in the room. Like if you were watching the event, you were standing right next to the table. So I think that those elements really came together quite nicely. So yeah, at this point in time, we're in a position where we have the ability to run matches that are either underground, or we can do the high-end production stuff as well. But yes, we've got lots of good things upcoming for AWE.
Well, I cannot wait to hear that. That is incredible. I can't wait to continue to watch more AWE. And how do we support AWE? What are things you guys want to hear from fans? What are ways fans can support?
Yeah, well, I think just watching our stuff would help. So if you go to the AWE YouTube channel, we've got a plethora of amazing high-end videos of incredible matches between our athletes from our cards. It's probably the easiest, simplest thing that you can do without, buying a shirt or anything like that. You just load up a bunch of the videos in the background, put them all on mute, and just let them play through. That helps us tremendously with watch time, and the algorithm sees that and sees that the audience is retention is really high, so they're more likely to put that video in front of more people and in front of people that may have never seen arm wrestling before, and then this is the first time that they've watched it, and then you get a new fan of the sport. So that's probably the simplest thing that people can do without having to put any money forwards. But if they are keen on doing that, we have shirts for sale on our website, and I think hats and hoodies as well. So that is available. I think that, just coming along to our shows and being just helpful is always appreciated.
Well, that's incredible. I see right here that the Ryan Bowen and Mazahir Saidu match got over 165,000 views, and then you've gotten a couple other videos with a lot of views as well, 52,000 and stuff. So that's amazing. Um, I definitely know that watching them, the Underground series, definitely felt like I was there in the room and stuff with you guys, hanging out, and continuing to see more of that stuff. And as you just said, more stuff coming down the line. That will be awesome. I have a couple questions for you if you want to answer, do a couple quick predictions on the upcoming East versus West.
Sure.
You be down? So we'll just do them quickly. Um, so there's a couple of them are strongmen. I don't know if you follow strongmen closely or not. But then there's Devin Larratt versus Alex Kurdecha. I think they're going right and left arm. From what I heard on Pradeep's channel today, it's still right and left arm because Vitali won't be coming to US.
Right. Yeah, I think it's any time that Devin's on that card, it's going to be very, very difficult to beat him. And his ability to manipulate those setups so advantageously for himself, he's the master of it. The problem with it is that it turns everyone off who's watching. Seeing him berate the referee for 40 minutes just to get the ideal setup it's not a lot of fun. But I think that his ability to do that is something that allows him to get great wins, great positions, and obviously he's a phenomenal arm wrestler. He's I think recognized as number 2 in the world. It's only Levan who's been able to handle everything that he's done. I think Levan could say, get whatever setup you want, I'll still win. But Devin and Alex, I would favor Devin in this, just because of those reasons. I think his ability to get the ideal setup, and then he's incredibly strong as well. I mean, he's a top level guy in all areas. I think he'll gas out Alex. I think Alex, especially having such a big frame, being a huge man, and relying on all that strength and power, after a couple of rounds, that really starts to diminish quickly, especially if you have gotten in a war. And Devin loves to get in a war, and he will sit and hold you and make you work. And there's moments he could easily win matches, but he doesn't. He waits and gives it another 30 seconds before he'll pin somebody, or wait till they quit. And so unless Alex can get some early quick pins, I think it's going to be a long night for him.
Then we have a man you were just talking about that you guys have had him on a promotion before at AWE, Todd Hutchings versus Dave Chafee on the right arm.
Yeah, that's exciting. We haven't seen Dave for a little while. I'm not exactly sure what level he is at this point in time. Obviously, Easy Money has been around for a long time. He's a very strong, powerful man. He's going to be heavier in this than Todd. Todd, sorry, you go.
I should say he's also got a cut weight to 115 kilo. So that will still be quite a bit heavier than Todd Hutchings will be, but it is a big cut for Dave.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he's a super heavyweight for sure. And even at 115 kilos, that's still a very big man. It's like, he's cutting down to 115. It's like, God damn, he's massive. So, and then Todd is just ridiculous. Like, his ability to go and hang with the super heavyweights at his body weight is ridiculous. It's insane. It's one of the most incredible things ever. As to who wins this, I'm not really sure, because I haven't seen Dave pull for a while. I think on paper you would say he's the favorite because of his size and strength. but Todzilla has been looking really good in the last year or two. He's on form. If I was going to pick, I'd pick Todd just because I've seen more of his efforts recently, and I'm very impressed with what he's been doing.
Then we have Richard Bornman and Pavlo Deverdenyev, right-handed super heavyweight match.
Is it first to 3?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. This is going to be a tough test for Rickard for sure. Pablo is no joke. He is one of the best in the world. And if Rickard wants to prove that he belongs in that club, then this is his opportunity. It's going to be tough. I think that if he gets the victory, it would be very close. I would say it would be 3-2. I don't see Pablo shutting Rickard out, and I don't see Rickard shutting Pablo out either. I think they're both going to go back and forth, and it just depends on who gets that final pin.
Next, we have Brandon Allen versus Brian Shaw. Brandon Allen, I haven't seen in a long time. I know initially I seen him on one of the King of the Tables, and then he beat Larry Wheels there, and then obviously Brian Shaw we've seen pull against Eddie Hall at King of the Table 14.
Yeah, I think Brandon will get the win here. I think that Brian is still polishing his skills of arm wrestling. I thought he would have been more dominant when he faced Eddie. He did get the win, but it was a hard fought win, and Eddie had only been arm wrestling for 6 weeks, so I was quite surprised that it was such a struggle for Brian at that point. Obviously, Eddie is ridiculously strong, but you would think if Brian, I think at that point it had about a year and a half of training, and he's a massive man. He had all the advantages going into that match, and it was a war. And it was like, okay, if maybe the level you're at right now isn't quite where we thought you might be, but if he can win against Brandon, then that would be huge. But I think that it takes so long to learn all those small movements and small strategies and how to set up that works best for your body type, and where do you adjust technique and all those things that takes a long time to develop. I don't think Brian's at that point yet. I think he's still grasping all the fundamental movements and finding what works for him. So it'd be interesting to see how he performs, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 3-0'd.
Very interesting. Next, we have another right arm super heavyweight match, and that is Matt Mask versus Philip Larson.
Yes, Matt Mask. I'll watch Matt Mask anytime he competes. The man is a firehouse of excitement. The wild horse comes out like he's ready to kill somebody.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
Bulging out of his neck, and he's in war mode. Was it the last match that he had against the Bulldog guy, and Matt got pinned, and then he was still yelling at the guy, but he was yelling compliments.
Yeah.
He was like,
that was his second last.
You're much stronger than I thought you would be. You're much better than I thought you were. He's amazing, but he had some big wins recently, and he's sort of a little bit of a journeyman in arm wrestling. He gets right up near the elite level, and then it's like if he wins this one, then he would be right at the pointy end, and it's like in that match he loses, and then he'll win a couple of things, he gets right up to the edge, and then he'll lose. And it's sort of like he's in that point, he's just outside that real elite level. I think he has the ability to get there, but it just doesn't seem to work out for him in those moments where it's like, if you win this match, this is what's going to catapult you to the next level. But that's the ones that he gets beaten. So, I'd say he's the favorite in this match. I'd be excited to see how it plays out. I think that he's more of a specialist than most in this level, where it's all about that top roll, the high hand top roll. If he gets that, it's game over. If he doesn't, he tends to lose. So it can come down to his opponent's ability to control the setup and preventing Matt from getting exactly what he needs to get the victory.
Next.
Your connection has dropped a little bit, mate. You've gone blurry, and I can't hear what you're saying. We'll wait for a couple of seconds. We'll see if it comes back for David here. So we'll talk while Dave's internet is playing up. But yes. Oh, he's dropped. He's back. There he is. He's changed sides.
Am I back?
You're back. You've swapped with me.
Okay. That's all good. I'm not exactly sure what went on there, but
That's right.
something happened.
It's all good. We are back. I missed you said the next matchup, and I didn't hear what it was.
So here's a man. Our next match is a man that is literally going to get smashed across the face by Lachlan Adair. But first, he has an arm wrestling match going down against Ray Brown.
Oh, we're dropping again. Oh, you're back. No. Yes.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's all right. So it's who what's the match, Matt? And I'll talk about it while you.
I'm really sorry there. So I said literally the next match is a man that is going to get smashed across.
Wow.
This is.
Yes,
I don't.
It's yeah. So Lachlan Adair and who is it that he's facing with that slap match?
Derek Smith.
Derek Smith, that's the one. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's Ray Brown versus Derek Smith. I wanted to make that sound interesting, but some reason I don't know what happened with my internet and everything. It all disconnected and connected and then disconnected and connected like 3 times in a row.
Yay! Oh, it's all right. We're here now. We're back. But yeah, Derek Smith again, another bit of a journeyman with arm wrestling. He's been around for such a long time. I mean, the guy's got all the physical attributes. He's sort of similar to Brian Shaw in a way. I mean, he's 6'8". You know, he's a monster. He's incredibly strong. He's powerful. He's experienced, and I think he overpowers most people at the intermediate sort of level. He just blows them out of the water with his strength and power. But I think when he goes up against the elites in the sport with who have all the strategy and technique and skill and knowledge and setups and all those little 1% things that he needs to win the match, that's when he tends to get beaten. But yeah, it would be. So who is his opponent? Sorry, Derek and
Ray Brown.
Trey Brown. I don't know anything about him. Yeah, I haven't heard of him before, so I'm not going to be able to give a great prediction here. But it'd be great to see Derek get a win because he has all the tools, and I think that if anybody is looking at him and saying he's an absolute monster of a man, he's incredibly strong, he's incredibly powerful, he's into arm wrestling, and we'd love to see him at the elite levels. He's just got to stick with it, and I think that over time he'll get there. But he's not one of those. I think he's one of those grinding sort of people that will take a long time to get to his potential, and he's just going to continue to stick with it and get better and better and better as the years go on, as opposed to somebody like say Rickard Bornman, who straight off the gate is incredibly good without having ever done it before. I think Derek is one of those guys that the skills have come through hard work over a long period of time, but I don't think he's reached his potential at this point.
And then we have Eddie Hall versus Robert Oberst. Back in the day, they used to. I remember one clearly watching Giants live, and then Robert Oberst was yelling stuff at Eddie Hall, saying you'll never be able to shoulder press as much as me or whatever he said, and he just was like all fired up. Walked into the crowd, grabbed the first guy in the crowd in the audience, his beard, just chugged it, and it was like all pouring down Robert Oberst's beard. And so I can't wait for that kind of energy to happen. And they have a right-handed, right-arm super heavyweight match.
Yeah, for sure. That's exciting. And that's one of those things that you could put a match like that together, and it doesn't have to be elite guys going against each other. It's the name factor and the built-in audience is where you're getting your value there. And the match itself is almost secondary to the fact that you get to see both these guys go against each other. So that element will be a lot of fun to watch. That's a fun match. I think in terms of analyzing their techniques and everything like that, it's difficult because obviously we haven't seen much of what they can do. But Eddie did impress me with his match against Brian, having such short notice period to get into shape and learn how to arm wrestle. I mean, 6 weeks is so short a period of time, and to have done that well against somebody who is also a former strongest man in the world in Brian Shaw, who's had a year and a half of arm wrestling training. And he's very dedicated to it. I think Eddie very much impressed me. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get the win. I'd say if I was the bookie and making the odds, I would put Eddie as the favorite because of his experience already.
Very good. And then we have Big Laws, Lawrence Chalet versus Martin Sleazy's, and they both competed in strongman. Lawrence Chalet has been many times at the very elite level, but he's never won the World's Strongest Man. And Martin Sleazy's, I believe, won the World's Strongest Man 2021 or 2022.
Right. So that's another match, is it?
Yes, right to arm super heavyweight.
Very nice. Who is it between? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Lawrence Chalet and Martin Sleazy's. Lawrence Chalet, Big Laws. He's
Yes, yeah,
a strongman commentator and stuff.
That's right. He did the commentary on the last event, I believe. Yeah, I haven't seen any of their arm wrestling stuff at all, unfortunately. But obviously, Big Laws is coming in with a reputation, and he would probably be the people that if you're going to put a match together like that, you're going to make sure that the guy that most people will recognize is more than likely in a position to be able to win the match.
Yeah. And then we have one last one, Gabriela Vasconcelos versus Jocelyn Brisson.
That'll be fun.
Gabriela is Brazil, and then Jocelyn out of Canada.
That will be interesting. Gabby being former world champion for so many years in a row, and Jocelyn coming from a powerlifting background and just being huge and strong and powerful. Will that be enough to get through Gabriela's worldly knowledge of experience and skill? I think it's going to be a big test for Jocelyn. I think the only real way that she's going to win is if she's just that much stronger, and because I think technique and strategy and all the rest of it is heavily going to be on Gabriela's side. World champion many times, and has competed in elite matches all around the world for years and years and years. So that level of experience is very daunting to try to overcome. And if you're trying to match with skill, it's going to be quite difficult. But I think where she could possibly get the victory is if she is just ridiculously much stronger than Gabriela and can just overpower her ability to get the techniques that she needs.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I just want to thank you all for spending the last hour procrastinating with us, and it's been great to get to know you more, Matt. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, now I'm not.
All right. You're still live. You got to press the end button.
Yeah, I know. And now everything's screwed up there with my internet.
This is the best bit of the show.
Yep, this is.